Caucasians, they got these titles, which they're calling themselves now Native Americans, because they skated into that title of Native American, because at one point in time, there was a thing where you could have declared yourself a $5 Indian, right? This was called the Dawes Roll, right? This was a roll where you can go, where Caucasians were allowed to go and sign up and call themselves Native Americans or American Indians and, get on these rolls for $5. And they can get all this land, right, as Native Americans, as American Indians or whatever, and get all this land, be granted rights as Native Americans for this land, which was nothing but a way to maneuver Caucasian people to step into our place as Native Americans and take all our land. That's all. For $5, they could take all the land they wanted, right, giving up to a certain land. This was the Dawes Roll, first, final roll, Citizens for Freedom's five civilized tribes, or Dawes Commission, was created by the United States Dawes Commission. This commission was authorized by the United States Congress in 1893 to execute General Allotment Act of 1887. Traditionally, the land these tribal communities had been held communal with the establishment of the Dawes Commission. The ruling was made by the colonial agents to divide up land into parcels to institute systems of individual ownership in accordance to U.S. laws. Basically, they were giving land to Caucasians and letting them declare themselves Indians for $5. Right? Now, your Mongoloid Indians, who like to act as though they're the real Native Americans here, they lost out on land, right? But then they had set-asides for them. They had what's known as today reservations for these people to be on, right? See, because all the people who had noticed, they'll say, oh, the so-called Mongoloid Indians, or the, those mixed Asian and Caucasian people who ended up calling themselves American Indians. Those people, they basically, were given land allotments. Even the so-called Mongoloid Indians today, who are not Native Americans, right? These people are Asians, right, who are descendants of those people who crossed the Bering Straits in Siberia. These people are Asiatic people who were mixed in with the Caucasian Spaniards. That's how your Latinos and your Hispanics came about. These people were moved to reservations. The only people that were displaced and were never given any land, who had to work to buy land, oftentimes had their land taken from them, if white angry mobs decided to run them off the land, and they had no kind of government representation, no kind of representation, yet they were paying land taxes. But if an angry mob of Caucasians decided to run them off their land, they had their land taken from them. That was so-called black people who could go and buy land, right, and then, like I said, have the land taken from them. That's how you know our people are the natives of this land. See, because the natives are kept without land. See, it is not allowed for natives, you see, in any society or people that's come into power trying to conquer and take over land from people, their first mindset is never to allow the native people, the people who truly possess the land first, which is our people, so-called black people, bronze, copper-colored people, never allow them to own or possess no land. You see, that's the rule of thumb. The rule of thumb, whenever any invader comes, any gentrifier, any colonizer comes, the first thing you do is displace the native people. You make sure that you take their land, and you make sure that they can never own land. Or if they own land, their rights are limited. Now, who does that sound like? Who does that sound like? Because now if you're saying black people came from Africa, which is a lie, if you're saying black people came from Africa and they went through slavery, and after they get out of slavery, they were supposed to get 40 acres and a mule, Yet they never got that, right? Never got the 40 acres and a mule. They ended up having a sharecrop on Caucasian land. That was land that was 9 times out of 10 taken from bronze people, people who was living on that land. They should have and been able to take or inherit that land that they worked, you say, as a form of payment for crimes against our people. They should have been able to inherit and own that land. But as I said, you've seen a lot of different instances where all it took was angry white mobs for them to run bronze people off their land, kill their people, and take the land. That was done all the time, right? And that's done to this day. That's still done to this day. Look at Tulsa, Oklahoma. Please, things like Tulsa, Oklahoma, and all these places like that, where their land is taken, right? And they come up with some excuse as to why riots take place. People's land is burned to the ground. People's buildings on the land is burned to the ground. People are run out of the city, and the government helped them, help those angry mobs take black people's land, so-called black people's land, their land, run them out, and then here it is years later, their families can't even get that land back. You got people living on that land in Tulsa, Oklahoma, who had that land taken from them, unlawfully taken from them. Yet they ain't getting that land back. How you do that? Now, had it been some so-called Mongoloid Indians, they would have been giving them a big settlement. They would have gave them their land back. They would have did everything for them. Yet the descendants of those people who are still around, who's supposed to be the rightful owners of that land was bought legally. It was not bought by no form of criminal activity. You got mafia people, Italian mafia people, who still got homes and things like that, who are allowed to keep their homes and property, which they gained through criminal enterprises. They were allowed to keep a lot of their money and their things like that. But here it is, people who lawfully purchase land and whatnot will run off their land. They can't get their land back. You don't tell me something ain't right about that? That's how you do the real natives. So when all these Mongoloid Indians are talking about they the Native Americans, they didn't know you're not the Native Americans. No, you're not. See, because immigrants, right, which is what the beast wanted to make this country anyway, a land that is run by Caucasians, right, and allows immigrants to come here and allows them to prosper, right, temporarily, because, see, they can always, if the immigrants get out of line, they could always send them back to where they came from and just confiscate their land. You see, they couldn't do that with bronze people because we didn't come from no place else. We were here already in America. You see that? So all they would do is just take our land, and that was just our loss. That's how they took our money in the freedmen banks, right? We got done the most dirtiest because we are the natives of this land. And pictures and wall carvings and drawings and everything shows you who the true natives of this land are. And you still got people who are trying to act as though those images of the true Native Americans as bronze, copper-colored people are not us. You got these Mongoloid Indians, like I said, who are calling themselves Latinxes and Hispanics, which is not even a real terminology, it's not even a real race. Because I was going back and forth with these Mongoloid / Hispanic Latinos, and I was explaining to them in this African group, right? Which I'm through doing that with them because, like I said, they about as ignorant as I don't know what, and they play ignorant because they don't want to deal with the truth. I said you can only belong to quote unquote 3 races, either you're so-called black, white, or Asian. You can only belong to 3 groups. You can't belong, and like I said, that Asian includes East Indian and Mongoloid, Chinese, and all that. That's all you could belong to. You can't. There's no such thing as a Native American race of people. Title Native American is a title. It is not a race. They wanted to try to make Native American a race separate from the Mongoloid race, but you could clearly see these people are Mongoloids. They're part of the people that crossed the Bering Straits, and from Siberia, these are the people who are descendants of these people, the Eskimos, the Mexicans, Yeah, a lot of your Hispanics, your Mongoloid, Asian-looking Indians who got mixed in with our people, because these people came over, you know, they were your first immigrants who came into this land crossing the Bering Straits. And when they came here, our people were here. Our people were here, the Olmecs, the Aztec, the Inca, and the Mayan people, with all the customs and traditions that they ended up taking and plagiarizing for themselves, connecting it to themselves. And because so-called white men wanted to reclassify our people as Negroes, black people, because they wanted to reclassify our people and thus make make an excuse for putting our people in slavery. See, because at that time, in the early 1800s, really the latter part of the 1700s going into the 1800s, the African slave trade was very brief here in America. It was very small time. They couldn't keep bringing slaves from Africa. So the bronze people, the bronze copper-colored people that were here, the natives of this land who were already here, meaning our people, they just designated them as African. They designated them as African and made it seem like they came over on slave ships and that we were the descendants of the early Africans they brought over here, which is a lie. Right? I told you how a real tribal African looks versus a American-born native here in America, which is bronze people. You know the difference. Okay? So they wanted to reclassify our people as Negroes and Africans and whatnot to justify putting them in slavery, saying that they weren't really natives of this land. And, because they was letting more and more Caucasians in here, and they started, having more, building up military with these people, bring more firearms. And they eventually, after a while, and then they got with the Mongoloid Indians, and they, got the Mongoloid Indians to help in enslaving our people. In fact, the Mongoloid Indians were allowed to enslave our people. You see where all the focus and energy is against our people? You see? You see where all the focus and energy is against our people? That lets you know who the real natives are. That lets you know. It's just like with gentrification right now. Like Harlem, has been in the hands of bronze people for over 100 years. Now when all these Caucasians get up in Harlem and start buying up brownstones, or they get down here in Bed-Stuy, start, getting up the brownstones and everything like that, it's going to be, they get their hands on trying to push you bronze people out of Bed-Stuy, Harlem, wherever you are. And even in Los Angeles, push you out of Compton and Baldwin Hills and all them other places. They're trying to push you out. Or they'll just put a freeway through your neighborhoods and destroy your businesses. This is what they do to native people. See, this is how they treat natives. Right? This is how you know the so-called Mexicans, Latinos, and all those other people are not natives, because they don't do them like that. The white man don't do them like that. In fact, they're coming into this country right now, and they're being given all kinds of set-asides and things like that in this country, things that they would not do for so-called black people here who've been done the dirtiest here in this country, been lied to about who they are, who their heritage here, number one, lied to, enslaved, had land taken from them, murdered, all the stuff that was done to our people here in this society because they were the natives. All the hell our people went through because we are the natives of this land. You see, like I was saying, in Harlem and all them other places, is when they start getting bronze people up out of Harlem and all this other stuff and out of Bed-Stuy and all this, it's going to be hard as hell. Let's say you want to move there and get a place or buy a house. They're going to make sure they keep you out. They're going to make sure they keep you out. Okay? They're going to make sure you can't get back into the neighborhood you may have grew up in. Or you might be like, oh, well, so-called black people, bronze people, these areas is known for that. Next thing you know, you can't get in those areas. That's like how Fort Greene is. Right? In certain areas in Fort Greene, it's expensive as hell. The rent high as hell. You can't. That's how they instead of just telling you, nigga, we don't want you in this area no more, area where your people is at, they'll just raise the rent real high, right? They'll just raise the rent real high, or tell you the rent costs this much, but then when a Caucasian come, they'll tell you the rent is lesser. You know, they'll do stuff like this, okay? Because that lets you know who the real natives are. And you should never trust these people because, you know, I know a lot of you so-called, especially the Israelites, y'all like to think that these Latinxes and these Hispanics and these people, y'all all the same people. You love to believe that, but that's a lie. Like I said, they have the same attitude, right? They have the same attitude as the Caucasians do when it comes to our people. Because, like I said, a lot of them want to be Caucasian. They are, and in fact, a lot of them are Caucasian. A lot of them are Caucasian. A lot of these people who call themselves natives, like I said, they are Mongoloid Indians. They are Mongoloids, Asians, who got mixed in with the Spanish conquistadors who came over into places like Mexico and things like that and mixed in with those people. So you see a lot of these Hispanics and Latinxes, they are the offspring of the offshoot of those people. And they're just as racist as the Caucasians. They're just as racist against you. So our people better make sure they understand that, look, we don't have no allies. We have no friends. These people are not our people. Stop acting like there's some black and brown coalition. There is not. There never was. These people classify themselves as Caucasian, and then they turn around and want to tell you they Native American. Right? Same way the white man tell you he's Native American. That picture I used up here, right? Now they'll sit up here and say that that guy in the picture is a Native American, right? You might have seen this guy on commercials. This guy in the picture, who I got up here, $5 Indian. I see this guy all the time in a lot of these commercials about the forest and the environment. This guy up there. You know, now for the longest time, I thought he was a so-called American Indian. Come to find out, he's a Sicilian. He's Italian. He's not even. He's from Italy. He's just a white boy with long black hair. He put in a damn ponytail, and he's Italian. So that just goes to show you that these people will be very deceptive and and lie like it's nothing. That's why you can't. You know, when they try to give you some historical facts or history on their origins or where they came from, don't listen to them. Their origins are from Asia. Their origins are from Asia and Europe. A lot of these Latinxes and these Hispanics, their origin is Mongoloid or Mongolian. And I found it interesting at one, and I was going to bring that out to these people in that group, which I'm not going to be debating with fools. There was a biker gang in the 60s, so-called Hispanic biker gang in the 60s, right, who started up called the Mongols, right, in Los Angeles, California. They were supposed to be an answer to the white boys and the Hells Angels, because I guess they wanted to get at the Hells Angels or whatever was going on. So these Latinos started their own group called the Mongols. Now, I found that very interesting that they chose the name the Mongols because I kept telling these Latinxes, these Hispanics in the group, that y'all Mongoloids and y'all really Mongolian, y'all Mongoloids who crossed the Bering Straits, and that's how y'all got here, and y'all found our people here living that as Native Americans here in this land, as the Olmecs, the Aztec, the Inca, and the Mayan. They didn't want to hear that. But I was like, okay, so here it is. Why would these so-called Hispanics who started this biker gang, why didn't they call themselves the natives? Why they didn't call themselves, they could have called themselves anything that they wanted to call themselves. But why did they use the name Mongols? You look this gang up, they're still around, the Mongols. Why did they call themselves the Mongols? Could it be because they, because you don't just take on a name like that and, it's no kind of historical relevance to it. Because them people are serious about their gang. You ain't going to just call you with them. They're serious about their biker gang. They ain't going to just call their gang anything. They call themselves the Mongols. Could it be because they know the history better than these people did? I think so. They know their history as Mongoloids. They know they're really of the Asian stock. You Latinos, you Mexicans, you Indian-looking Mexicans, and Latinos and all this other stuff. They know where they come from. This is why a lot of them have slanted eyes like the Asians. A lot of them can go for Asians. A lot of them can go for different Eskimos, Asians, and things like that. Japanese. A lot of them fit into that role as those people. So what does that tell you? Somebody don't want the truth to come out. Okay? And like I said, not even for the sake of going back and forth, but because we know the truth. Because now all we have to rely on about the truth is us. All we can rely on concerning the truth is us, man. Don't even look to debate or argue with these people. Cause no matter what you say, if it don't fit their narrative, they're not trying to hear it. So we ain't even out here to debate with nobody no more. We put the broadcast out, put the facts out for our people, because that's all we should be concerned about is our people and us knowing who the real Americans are, the real Native Americans, the Mesoamericans. I even want our people to stop using that term Indian. Stop calling yourselves black Indians. I said that. You see, because all you do is tie yourself into that whole fake native $5 Indian thing. Just more people declaring themselves Indians, and it makes it look like into that whole fake Indian narrative of people claiming themselves to be so-called American Indians or Native Americans. So we got to get away from that. We got to get away from that mentality and that mindset that anybody can sit up here and refer to themselves as us and try to step in as us. No one can step in as us or be us. We are us. You see? But of course, like I said, along with pushing that whole idea into our head that we're not native, because again, a lot of things went into these reclassifications, pushing our people onto that whole Negro mindset, that whole Negro mentality. A whole lot went into that. A whole lot went into pushing this idea into our people's head that we're not of the Native American stock, that we're not the first people here. And you could clearly see the correlation between ancient Egypt, ancient Mesoamerica, and you can see the buildings and the structure and the styles of artwork that these people had to be connected in some way, shape, or form. They had to be connected. Now, see, the white man don't mind giving over our Mesoamerican heritage and trying to hand over our Mesoamerican heritage to other people, to these Mongoloids and whatnot, because, like I said, the Mongoloids, they didn't build anything. They didn't build anything. They came and found those societies, those pyramids and those cities and those mound cities, which they want to still try to take credit for. They want to take credit for the mound cities in Mississippi and everything else. They want to sit up here and take credit for all of that. Why? Because the white man handed over our heritage when they decided to strip us of everything we had here. Everything that we had, everything that we once enjoyed here, all of the years of rulership over this land, at least parts of it. And then even, settling into the mound cities and things like that. So this goes to show you that, like I said, they came, they saw our people, they saw that our people were not structured, we were not organized, we were not prepared for what came into this land. And what these people came here to do, which was to rape, rob, and pillage and take from us, even taking us. You see, and here it is in 2022, we are seeing the resurrection and the unveiling of who we really are, and the fact that our people kept their images and their faces on walls and in murals and whatnot, that these delusional ass Latinxers are trying to act like it's them. they sitting up here trying to claim that thick lips and broad noses and braided hair is that anybody could claim that. That don't mean because you got broad noses, thick lips, and braided hair don't mean you so-called black. You ain't black just because you got broad noses, thick lips, and braided hair. That could be anybody. They want to play that game. So this is what you're dealing with, people who are lying. Here for the longest time, these people made fun of our thick lips, our noses, and our hair, calling our hair nappy and whatnot. Now that they see that these features are tied to the natives of this land, now all of a sudden, oh, it ain't y'all. It don't say it. It don't mean just because you got that don't mean you black. Now they want to try and put their face over those faces, try to match their faces with our features. That's how demonic and sick these people are. That's how racist, demonic, and sick these people are. You see, I don't care who don't like what I'm saying. You see, these are not our people. And it's good that we learn that if they can't even, because the way they set up here, and they was like, yeah, you from Africa, and Africa this, and you from Africa that. And I said to these people, I said, you do know that the so-called white man classifies Elon Musk as an African American. They classify Charlize Theron as an African American. Does that mean they're black? Because they want to go on about classifications and talking about Jesse Owens ain't Native American, he ain't Mesoamerican, he's African. I said, okay, so if you go on by classification, then y'all mongoloids. If that's the case, oh no, we natives. No, it don't work that way. You don't get to use the white man's classification when it's against our people, but then when it comes against you, oh, that's not right. That's the game they play. You see, but it's good that they showed themselves. And they sitting up here hiding up in some African-American thing, come off of culture vultures. But it's good that they show themselves because a lot of them feel that way. Because a lot of them want to feel as though they're connected to our heritage and to our culture and things like that. They will literally sit up there and you will see that these are bronze people, bronze copper-colored people, so-called black people on these walls, and they will sit up there and say, oh, those are not black people. They'll do that. That's what you call people who are delusional. People who only are concerned about lies and trying to be right. This is what you're dealing with. Here it is, the white man made a way for Caucasians to slip their way into the Native American thing. He made a way for them. You know how many Caucasian, now, matter of fact, there's this Cajun lady, I think her name's something Elizabeth Warren, I think she's some kind of senator or something like that. She used to ask her for reparations as a Native American, a Caucasian woman. A Caucasian. You see? She's asking for reparations. So, they make a joke out of so-called black people, and when y'all ask for reparations, they make a joke out of that. And they'll sit around, and the Caucasians, they'll sit around and give these people reparations. They gave these Mongoloid Indians reparations, some Mongoloid Indian tribe, some kind of land and some government assistance stipend for like about $2 billion or something like that. They gave to these Mongoloid Indians, right, and some land, and they got a bunch of casinos and stuff like that, right? And most of these people are Caucasians, walking around with long hair and damn feathers in their head, talking about they Native Americans, right? And they probably are the descendants of those people who was on the $5 doors rolls, being classified as Native American. But here it is, our people was brutally had land taken from them, was enslaved and everything else, right? And you can't even get 40 acres and a mule. You couldn't even get that. You couldn't even get that. You were supposed to get that, and they just yanked that out. Here it is, you had land taken from you in this country, legally seized from you, and you got no money for that. Nothing. So that lets you know who the real natives are. That lets you know who the real people of this land are. And the sad thing is, not even that they don't acknowledge you, because I don't give a damn whether they acknowledge you or not. Who cares? They're gonna lie. They're gonna lie to the day they die. These people are gonna lie to the day they die. That's these Caucasians and these Mongoloid Mongoloid fake Indians who going around calling themselves Latinos now, Latinxes, and Hispanics, the ones who claim an Indian. You're saying, I'm not talking about you bronze ones, but the one, but the ones who going around who look like Mongoloid Asians and the Caucasians, they'll lie until they die. So nobody really cares whether they acknowledge this to be true or not, because they're never going to tell the truth. The truth is not in them. These people are born liars. All right? They'll sit right in your face and lie. What matters is that you all acknowledge it. You acknowledge it and stop calling yourselves African Americans. Stop feeding the lie. Stop feeding the lie. You see, I'm gonna do a family. I'm gonna do a family movie thing briefly on. I'm gonna do a family thing briefly on this Kwanzaa thing. Right? From this guy, Maulana Karenga. I'm going to be doing it tomorrow. We're going to do a brief thing on and watch this video. I want everybody to pay attention on this guy, Maulana Karenga, who's now a professor at a college. I find his story to be very interesting. All right? Just to show you, this is just to give you a brief background of the odds these people went through. This lie that we came from Africa and that we have no claims to this land and that we are not the natives of this land. Okay? And the funny thing is, the so-called Africans don't even get treated as bad. The so-called native Africans from Africa don't get treated as bad as the so-called African Americans here in the society. That's what I find to be strange. Now, if we're so-called tribal Africans or people that came from Africa on slave ships, right, then you got to ask yourself one or two things. Why wasn't these people sent back and let America just be a white country like you wanted it? Or ask yourself, why so much hell was put on these people that you don't put on the Africans over there in Africa like that? You got to ask yourself. Reason being is because you know they're not the same people. You know they're not the same people. Classifying people as black, and I even got into it with these ignorant ass Mongoloids in that group, these Latinxes. They're gonna talk about, this guy's gonna say Jesse Owens is black. I said, there's no such thing as a black man. This man's skin is not black. Oh, well, he is black. Look it up. I'm looking at the man. He's going to tell me to look up what skin color this man got. I show you how ignorant. This is the ignorance you're dealing with. This is the ignorant people you're dealing with. So you don't argue with ignorant people. What you do is you inform the intelligent, the ones who intelligent, logic, and rationale resonates with. See, because things only resonate with them if it's going in, if it feeds their lie. So if we say, oh, we African and this, that, and the third, yeah, that's right, you African. We could be lying our ass off. We African, right? Yeah, that's right, y'all all African, right? Now, it don't matter if that's the truth or a lie. It don't matter as long as it fits their story. That's all they care about, what fits the story. We here for the truth. We here for reality. They care about, all they want is something that fits their story, and therefore it could fit into their lie, and they can keep this lie going that they're the Native Americans of this land, that they built those pyramids in Mexico, that they built, even though I brought receipts, proof, that even in their own Mexican museums, they show you who the builders of those mounds and those pyramids are. They tell you who they are. They got their pictures and things like that. Oh, that don't mean nothing. That's outdated information. These idiots going to tell you what outdated information is. You see, how do information get outdated? How do pictures and things, like same pictures they was using, by the way, it's not outdated when they want to use it, but when we use it, it's outdated. You see, that's why you don't get into debates with idiots. You see, all that matters is what we know. Forget what everybody else believes. All that matters is what we know. And our legitimacy as the real Americans here in this society, which we are the only real Americans here, the descendants of the Mesoamerican people, our legitimacy as the real Mesoamerican people, the real Americans, has always been under attack. Even when you point to Dr. York and that mound city he built out there in Georgia, this goes right along with what I was telling you. Anybody of native Mesoamerican descent, born of those people, the Olmecs, the Aztec, the Inca, the Mayan, whether Dr. York was using the term Yamasee, and all these other things, like I said, he had a right to use those terminologies, but where the government was bent out of shape was that here it is, all this time and effort and energy they put into promoting us as African American and African this and African that. Here comes this man building a mound city on this. So what that does, it looks like the resurgence or the resurrection of the real Mesoamericans in America. That's what it looked like to them. See, that's what made them want to swarm that property and bring ATF, FBI, whatever, and point guns at children. Point guns at children, right? And use all kind of racial slurs and tearing apart people's places on there and pointing guns at women and children. Let it be known that you will not be allowed to set up as natives on this land ever again. That's what that was about. That's what that was really about. They have a standing order to never allow the natives of this land to set up in this land. No real standing mound cities or structures like that. But yet the so-called Mongoloid Indians can be on reservations. They can own casinos and things like that. You see. And here, Dr. York and them, they was paying taxes on the land and everything. Paying taxes and everything. But see, they don't care about the taxes. It's all about what it represents, the energy that is being garnered when you got natives, the real native Mesoamerican people, actually building mound cities and theme parks and pushing out that culture, right? That's what, set off a lot of people there. And what did they do? As a result of that, they took their land. So it's always an excuse to take the land, because that's really all it was about. They just wanted the land. They wanted everything that was built there torn down. That's all it was ever about. We just want your land. We want you niggas off the land. Same way they always pushed us off land. Same way they tore down everything we ever built, be it Tulsa, Oklahoma, be it Greenwood, be it no matter where you set up at, they want to tear down what you set up and what you build up. You see? That's why I told you all, all of those compounds and things like that. Like I said, it's not worth building stuff like that. It's not worth it. You see? It's better to raise and build the minds of the people and, structure them together for the future. That's what's more important than trying to worry about the now and building land and masses and all this other stuff and having this, that, and the third. That can come and go. Things built now can be torn down later. But minds built now can last into tomorrow, into the future, and that's what I'm concerned about. That's all I'm concerned about. You can always build structures later. Build the minds of the people first. As many as the people whose minds are steady in this day and time, because a lot of people's minds are gone. Black, white, and everything in between. A lot of the minds are gone. You see? And you can never really own nothing under the beast anyway. As long as he is breathing, you can never really own anything under him. He has to be eradicated. The humans have to be eradicated or converted into something else, something more domesticated, because the animal is going to be an animal. They're always going to move off their animal instincts. An animal, if not, stopped, if not quadrant off, if not, you know, put to death, animal will come right into your kitchen. An animal will come right into your house and take over your house, eat your food, right? Eat you. That's what an animal will do. Do you see the correlation between the animals and these humans and what they were allowed to do once they come into our lands where we were at? You see the serpentine order was not standing amongst our people. So because that wasn't standing, because the serpentine seed and energy was fading in our people, we lost our venom. We lost our power. We lost our strike. These humans were allowed to be like those animals, those hungry animals that came into our lands and took our lands and took our food, took us. And this is what we've been dealing with ever since. Animals on two legs, just taking. Animals on two legs, just taking. And expecting nothing to happen in return. And a lot of you didn't think nothing should happen in return. A lot of you went along to get along. But there's no getting along with the beast. That's why I say in Amen we trust. In Amen we think, and in Amen we continue for it forever. Because in Amen is the alteration. In Amen is the alteration. It's not in government. It's not in arguing with these people. Because like I said, a lot of you Moors and all you people, you waste time arguing with these people and quoting these damn laws and or making all these goddamn declarations that don't mean nothing to them. Don't mean nothing to them. You waste your time. You waste energy. All right? So, as I said, these people, like I said, who are passing themselves off as natives of this land, they're fake, and they can never be trusted, and never look to them as allies to you. This is where so-called black people, bronze people, get things twisted. We have to be reinvigorated as a bronze, copper-colored race of people, a bronze elemental people, even taking it further and beyond than that. It ain't no need for us to claim Indian and all this other nonsense, walking around with feathers in our head. We don't got to do all that. It's not necessary. Everything is being illuminated, even our true place here in the society. Just knowing that the collectivism of, who we are as a people coming together and coming together under one thing and, redefining ourselves with the right definition of ourselves, the right and definitive titles and names and who we are is a powerful thing, because so much has been buried from us. So much has been hidden from us. So much has been wiped away. So much, and even to this day, a lot of our people are in darkness still, and they're not even trying to look forward to anything. They're just going to go into this long path of darkness and blackness, and, and for them, a lot of it's okay. They're okay with being black Americans and not even understanding why they being called black people or black anything. They okay with that. And then being okay with people telling you who you are and who you're going to be, and people hiding behind these fake identities like these Latinos did, hiding in that African American group, trying to be deceptive and pass themselves off as African Americans that's against being culture vultures, some nonsense. By even trying to do that, that shows their deceptiveness. That shows their deceptiveness. Okay? And they set these groups up just to call themselves trying to fight against us, making our rightful claim as the real natives of this land, the real natives. Nobody bled like our people in this land. Nobody has suffered and lost like our people in this land. And it seemed like in order for everybody else to come up in this land, from the so-called white man to the damn Mongoloid Asians and all the rest of these people, the East Indians, everybody, for everybody to come up in this country, it was all done on our backs, man. It was all done on our backs. Nobody was killed like our people were killed in this country. Maimed like our people, had property, land taken from them, made the fighting wars in this country and whatnot, and then treated like shit in this country after you fought in the war. Nobody was done dirty like our people. Nobody. And it amazes me that with all of this that done took place, with all of this that done happened, y'all still trust these people. You still trust in these people. You still mix your seed with these people. You still think there's some black and brown, or black and yellow, or black and people of color coalition. Y'all still believe this shit. You still believe that you got friends and allies. Nobody is our friends. Nobody is our allies. And it's good that we acknowledge that. You know, you got certain simple-minded black people that will never acknowledge that. You see, because they're being told through this false liberated mindset that we're supposed to think this way, that we're supposed to want to think this way. But like I said, in us believing this lie that we all are one together, by us believing this lie, we lose so much. You see, by trusting that we all the same and that, you know, righteousness and justice is going to prevail. The only way righteousness and justice is going to prevail for our people is if it's in our hands. It can no longer be in the hands of the beast. Nothing can no longer be in the hands of the beast. And this is how our people need to think going forward into the future. And this is what you must teach your children. That they have no friends, they have no allies, they cannot trust anybody who is not us, and even most of us we cannot trust, because many of us are going to be used against us. The beast will use us against us, just like with this nigga, Mohenga Karinga, the guy who started the Kwanzaa thing, behind the CIA, all these people he was clicked in with, and all the stuff this guy did, which again I'm going to do the family movie thing with this guy, on this guy. You know, this guy was able to go and teach black studies at the college after all the things he did. But, you know, of course it was to promote the Pan-African narrative to our people, to promote that. And see, one of the things a liar needs more than anything, a liar needs to get the people who he's going to lie against, the people that he's going to lie to. He needs to get the people that he's going to lie to believe the lie more than anything. See, the liar got to get people to believe the lie. You see, the lie is not as powerful if the people that they're lying to don't believe it. See, it don't matter if they lie to each other. See, it don't matter. What's more important is that they lie to us and get us to accept it and get our children to accept it. See, that's their power of the lie. And they got a lot of our people to accept that we Africans and African Americans and that we're not Native Americans or Native Mesoamericans to this land. They got a lot of our people to believe in this. They got a lot of our people to preach this Mama Africa, red, black, and green BS. You see? So it ain't just the Mongoloid, Latinos and all these other people that are pushing this lie. You know, they use them, and they use these Negroes. They use them to push the slave narrative, this African slave narrative. And a lot of y'all, unfortunately, still fall for this. A lot of you, unfortunately, still believe in this. A lot of you, unfortunately, still move in the mindset of this. You see? And when you live a lie, you make the liars more powerful. You make the liars more powerful in their assertions about you when you are willing to live that lie that they're telling about you and your people. You're willing to live out that lie. You see? That's what that shows, that translation to, that you're willing to live out that lie. You're willing to live out that lie and live out that idea of what a person is supposed to be or what they tell you are. You see, that's how his history becomes strong. Because again, you know, a lot of the facts that we had to learn over time, we had to find out over time about our people and who they were. These are things we learned over time, you know, over time, over, you know, over, well, I'll say over time and over, you know, experience, right? That's something, you know, we were being told wasn't right. And now, you know, when a puzzle starts being put together and you start having to place the picture together and the puzzle together and, you know, getting the correct picture, the most accurate picture, then you start to see what really took place. You're able to see what takes place or what took place and why it happened and why it was allowed to happen. You see, our people were here in this land for thousands of years. Then the first ones to arrive in this land were your Mongoloids from Siberia and Bering Straits, crossing the Bering Straits, who were starving in Asia. They came over here looking for a better life, came into the, as they said, you know, America, the New World, or whatever they were referring, came here and found our people. And upon coming here and finding our people, they mixed in with some of our people. They learned the ways of our people. And a lot of these places, like I said, where the ancient people, ancient Mesoamericans were, they were putting these people in captivity. You know, ancient Mongoloids and all of them, your first lawbreakers. They were putting these people in captivity. They had officers, or what they would have police back then, or peace officers, where they were putting people in bondage or putting people in jail or locking them up, things like that, criminals. These were your first people that came onto this land, these Mongoloid invaders, right? And for the most part, some of them mixed in, some of them were warded off, a lot of them were killed, you know, and they blended a lot of them, and this was your first invasion, right? The second invasion came later with the Caucasians. They were your second invaders. And a lot of your Mongoloids at that time, they didn't like the Mesoamerican people. They didn't like our people because we were strict people of law and order. There was a law and order and a structure here. And they were outsiders to it. They were outsiders. And they were excluded from being part of that society or those societies and a lot of things. They were on the outskirts in a lot of those societies. And as such, you know, even to this day, a lot of these people, they still have that wanting, that desire to usurp what our people have accomplished here in this land and take credit for what our people built in this land. But I asked the Mongoloid, I said, where's your pyramids in Asia where y'all come from? Because to call yourself native means that you started in the land, but there's obviously proven that you did not start in this land, that you have Mongoloid heritage. So if you have Mongoloid heritage, that means that your heritage is in Asia. It is in Asia. It is not here in what you're calling America. See, the so-called white man, he designated them to be Native Americans, just so he wouldn't have to call our people Native Americans. So he designated them to be Native Americans. Let them wear the mantle. You see? And like I said, the white man knows the history to all this stuff, like the Caucasian ones who have things, they've collected images and artifacts. You know, a lot of this stuff that was in the archaeologists, von Wattenau, I forget how you pronounce his name. These were statues and things like that from white collectors that they took appropriated as such, and they had it as their part of their collection, right? Things that they hid away. They'll keep historical things of our people, things where they know the truth and the real history. You know, this is why, again, our people were so valuable as slaves, because to have the native people who were the ones who tilled the land first, who were the first people that built on the land first, the people that maintained the land first, to have these skilled people have the ability to own these people, that's saying something. You see, because these people had nothing to build. They treated our people like tools. They treated us like tools, like work tools, like animals. And they were allowed to do this. Why were they allowed to do this? Because when we did it to them, we didn't continue what we were supposed to, how we were supposed to. The humans are a product of our creation. They are a product of our creation. Messed up creation. Bad creation. Bad idea now that you think about it. But nonetheless, we had to pay for this. When you create something unnatural, you can expect unnatural results. All kinds of evil was unleashed upon the earth. Yes, when we created the human race, we unleashed pure evil on it. Well, I'm not going to say pure evil. I'm going to say impure evil. Straight degeneracy we unleashed on the earth when we created the human race. The narrative, we're not accepting the narratives from Caucasians no more. We're not accepting no more Caucasian narratives, nor are we accepting any lies that any niggas want to come up here. I'm going to just say it like that. I don't care who don't like it, because this is my broadcast, and I'll say what I want. We don't care who don't like it. We're not accepting any more lies from the white man, any more his false classifications, any his made-up classifications any longer. And if a lot of you niggas want to accept that from him, then you go right on ahead. You go right on ahead, but don't bring that here. We're not trying to hear it. All this fake Indian nonsense. Ain't no Indians. Ain't no such thing as black people. There ain't no such thing as no Indians. Indians are those people in India with them damn dots on their head. That's Indians from India. We are not those people. We are not no black version of a bunch of people with dots on their head. We are not Indian, and there's no Indian people here. Okay? Those people who were falsely called Native Americans, those Mongoloids, are Asiatics. They're Asians. This is what we know. And all this, the white man calling somebody some 5 civilized tribes and all this other nonsense. Like I said, he's in no position to decide who's civilized. He's in no position, you see, after how he came here and what he did. He's in no position to decide who's civilized or who's so-called black. Because when I ask these people what these terminologies mean, they can never answer. They want to get all upset and hang up on the phone and things like that. They don't want to get to the root of this stuff. They want to go with the white man's story. And if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to dance around, because see, you know, if you allow liars and people with false narrative to come into your arena, and you start to entertain these people, then you know what? The truth gets lost. The real truth, the reality gets lost. What is the reality? That our people were the first people here. Going back to the Olmecs, the Aztec, the Inca, the Mayan, and all of the groups, they ended up splitting off into tribes and whatnot, and the copper-colored races, the different complexions of copper-colored races, that's really them talking about so-called black people. People, again, I have to ask this guy, who designated us black people, and what are black people? Black is what you designate something that you try to hide. So when you designate people as black, what you're doing is you're hiding a whole race of people. You're hiding a whole heritage of a people. That's what they did to our people when they told us that we were going to be black people, Negro people, Spanish names, basically redacting all of our heritage and our culture here in this land. and being telling us we ain't from here. We came from Africa on some goddamn slave ships. A bunch of lies. A bunch of lies. A bunch of fake history. I'm not going to sit up here and argue with fake history. See, because if you entertain and argue with fake history, like I said, it's a never-ending circle of BS. It's a never-ending circle of BS. And I refuse to do that with anybody. I refuse. You know, we done got into too many of these arguments, too many of these debates with a bunch of some pseudo nonsense like this. Everything, all of the white man's so-called classifications and things like that are nothing but some pseudo nonsense that he made up. Some pseudo historical BS. Some fake historical BS. You know, that's all it's ever been. So don't sit up here and tell me that, you know, we're going to sit up here and respect these so-called elders who coming in here with that nonsense. A lot of these elders got to be retaught. They got to learn again if they sincere enough. Because a lot of times these old niggas, you can't tell them nothing. They got the mark of the beast on them heavy. In other words, they good homeborn slaves, and they believe anything the white man say, be it in his fake history, and his fake philosophy, and his fake classifications, calling our people black people. Ain't none of our goddamn skin black. Nah, man. No. Excuse me for getting, a little hyped about that, because we had a good little flow going here, but it's always somebody that comes and interrupts with some BS. You see, I told you it's not going to always be the people on the outside like these Latinxes and these Hispanics who calling themselves. Now, I'm pretty sure this guy would never go and challenge those people and say, hey, wait a minute, ain't you guys Mongoloid Indians? Ain't you guys from of Mongoloid descent? He would never go and question them or challenge them. But he hears something from a bronze man, a copper-colored man, bronze man. You want to all of a sudden, oh, well, how come black people, they want to claim something because, just because they see somebody on the wall and they skin ain't white, so all of a sudden they want to, nigga, stop. As soon as he came out of his mouth with that, I was like, oh, okay, I see where you coming from. You ready to hand over our heritage where you could clearly see our people. Like I said, they'll look at me today, right, and they'll call me a so-called black man. But then you'll look at the same people on those walls and those ancient paintings and pictures and whatnot of the actual Mesoamerican people, of the actual Native Americans to this land who look the same as me on those walls, and you're going to say those are not black people, but you'll look at me today and call me a black person. Make that make sense to me. Make that make sense to me. You going to tell me that all of our skin is jet black? No, we come in many different ranges. That's why I get mad when I hear people talking about, yeah, we was jet tall black, and then we got changed. No, we always came in different ranges. We come from the darkest to the lightest. We always came in, and that has nothing to do with the white man. We always came in different ranges and complexions. Always. You see, we know what a mulatto look like, and we know what a mixed race look like, and we came in many different shades and complexions. This lie that we all was jet black and all that's a load of bullshit. We're not gonna sit up here and argue back and forth over BS. You see, this is for real talk. If we can't get to the bottom of this, beyond the so-called white man, his fake philosophy and his fake history and all this other nonsense about who the natives are here. First of all, he shouldn't even have no say in who the real natives are and the fake natives are, because this is the same person who's telling you that America was named after Amerigo Vespucci, which is a damn lie. That's a lie. Yet they don't tell you nothing. They don't got no history on Amerigo Vespucci. Yet this country's supposed to be named after him. Yet they don't celebrate Amerigo Vespucci's birthday. They don't talk about Amerigo Vespucci in American history. Yet this country's named after him. Right? Stop it. That's just another way of putting it. That's you know what that is. That's another $5 Indian scam. Another way to put a Caucasian face in the mix and make it seem like they the ones that started things going forward. That's always been their angle, to try to put themselves somewhere up in the mix and the foundation of this country and this society. And like I said, we're not trying to hear that. We're not trying to hear that. We know very well what the 1828 definition of an American is. The copper-colored races. the copper-colored races, and they're not talking about no Indian.